December 7, 1941. Dawn breaks over Hawaii. Battleships sit quietly in the harbor, aircraft neatly lined on the runways. Nobody knows that hundreds of Japanese aircraft are racing toward them from the north. In our timeline, this morning would become one of the darkest in American history. But let's change one thing. Sitting on Oahu, hidden behind camouflage nets, is something no one in 1941 understands: a fully operational Patriot missile battery. Dozens of launchers, radars, and interceptors, all crewed, armed, and connected by the technology of the 21st century. So what happens when one of the most advanced air defense systems on Earth is dropped into one of history's most infamous surprise attacks? Can it save Pearl Harbor, or will it just delay the inevitable? The MIM-104 Patriot is one of the most advanced surface-to-air missile systems in the world. Designed decades after Pearl Harbor, it's built to detect, track, and destroy incoming aircraft and missiles long before they reach their targets. First, the radar, an AN/MPQ-65 phased array that can detect targets over 100 miles away, track more than 100 simultaneously, and guide multiple interceptors at once. Unlike 1941 spotters using binoculars, this radar sees through clouds, darkness, and distance. Then the missiles. Each launcher carries 4 PAC-2 or PAC-3 interceptors. With a speed of Mach 5, nearly 3,800 miles per hour, these missiles can chase down fighter planes, bombers, even ballistic missiles. At peak effectiveness, a Patriot battery can intercept dozens of targets within minutes. In 1941, war was measured in planes and shells that seemed cheap by modern standards. A Japanese Mitsubishi A6M0, one of the deadliest fighters of its era, cost about $20,000 to build. A Nakajima B-5N torpedo bomber, roughly $35,000. Even a fully trained pilot with his aircraft cost less than a single modern pickup truck. Now compare that to the Patriot. Each interceptor missile costs $3 to $4 million today. One missile, one trigger pull, is worth more than 100 Japanese Zeros. But none of that matters. In this scenario, Pearl Harbor must be defended at any cost. Lives, ships, and the future of the Pacific are priceless, and overkill is exactly what's needed. In our scenario, the battery is fully stocked, 16 launchers, each with 4 interceptors. That's 64 missiles ready to fire, with reloads waiting in reserve. But there's a catch. The Patriot system wasn't designed for 1941 skies. It needs digital systems, generators, and trained crews. Luckily, in this scenario, it arrives intact, crews included. That means when the Japanese strike force approaches, for the first time in history, America has a shield. On December 7th, 1941, Japan sent 6 carriers carrying 353 aircraft. The first wave, 183 planes, including torpedo bombers, dive bombers, and Zero fighters. Their mission, cripple the American Pacific Fleet at anchor. The aircraft themselves were cutting edge for 1941. The Mitsubishi A6M0, agile and deadly in a dogfight, could hit 330 miles per hour. The Nakajima B-5N torpedo bomber, carrying shallow water torpedoes, could skim across the surface to strike battleships. The Aichi D-3A dive bomber dropped armor-piercing bombs directly onto ships. But every one of these planes was slow by modern standards. None carried electronic countermeasures. None could outfly a Mach 5 interceptor, and none knew what was waiting on Oahu. 5:30 a.m. Japanese pilots are briefed 230 miles north of Oahu. Their formation takes off, steady and silent, bound for Pearl Harbor. By 6 a.m., the Patriot radar is already watching. Dozens of blips appear on the screen. Speed, heading, altitude, all calculated instantly. At 7:40 a.m., the first wave comes into range. The Patriot crews act. Launch commands echo through the battery. Seconds later, white smoke trails shoot skyward. Dozens of interceptors streak toward the incoming formation at 5 times the speed of sound. The Japanese never see them coming. A Zero pilot checks his gauges, and the next moment his wingman vanishes in a fireball. A torpedo bomber banks toward the water, only to disintegrate mid-air. Within minutes, the tight attack formation collapses into chaos. In history, the first wave hit Battleship Row, almost untouched. In this alternate timeline, 40 to 60 Japanese planes are destroyed before they even glimpse Pearl Harbor. The survivors scatter, dropping bombs haphazardly, far less coordinated than planned. Some make it through. Patriot can't be everywhere, but the blow is blunted. Instead of battleships erupting in flames, most of the harbor remains intact. Back on the carriers, the Japanese commanders are still confident. They don't yet know what has happened to the first wave. At 8:40 a.m., the second wave launches. 170 more planes. Their targets, fuel tanks, shipyards, airfields. But by now, the Americans are ready. Radar screens light up again. The Patriot battery, partially reloaded, begins another volley. By the time the second wave nears Oahu, they face not just missiles, but alert anti-aircraft gunners and scrambling American fighters who've had time to take off. The result is brutal. Another 50 to 70 Japanese aircraft fall from the sky. Those that slip through encounter tracer fire, flak, and defensive fire from U.S. ships already on alert. Instead of raining destruction, the second wave staggers. Pearl Harbor takes damage, but nothing like the historical disaster. But let's be clear, the Patriot battery is powerful, not infinite. With 64 ready missiles and limited reload time, it cannot stop hundreds of planes alone. Once interceptors are expended, the system needs minutes to reload. In a mass attack, saturation matters. Some Japanese planes inevitably get through. And the bigger problem? Logistics. The Patriot is a 21st century machine. It requires modern spare parts, computer systems, and specialized fuel for generators. Once those missiles are gone, nobody in 1941 can build replacements. The system is a one-time miracle. So how much does it change history? In reality, Pearl Harbor left 8 battleships sunk or damaged, nearly 200 aircraft destroyed, and over 2,400 Americans dead. With a Patriot battery on Oahu, those numbers plummet. Instead of devastation, the Pacific Fleet survives mostly intact. Losses still occur. Bombs find targets. Torpedoes slip past. But the core fleet is saved. For Japan, the shock is enormous. Hundreds of their best pilots are lost to a weapon they can't even comprehend. Their carefully trained strike force collapses. The Kido Butai carriers retreat in confusion. Their decisive blow failed. For America, the effect is the opposite. Instead of demoralization, there's fury combined with confidence. The fleet stands ready for war, battleships intact, aircraft preserved. The attack still brings the U.S. into World War II, but under far stronger conditions. Would Japan even recover from such a disaster? Historically, the Pearl Harbor strike was their finest hour, crippling the U.S. fleet long enough to expand across the Pacific. In this alternate timeline, their gamble fails. The U.S. launches its counteroffensive sooner, with carriers and battleships unscathed. The war in the Pacific might be shortened by years, but the strange truth remains. All of it hinges on a single battery of missiles that no one in 1941 can maintain or replace. Once those interceptors are spent, the miracle shield is gone forever. The Patriot changes the first battle, but it cannot fight the entire war. So, would a Patriot missile battery save Pearl Harbor? Absolutely. It would slash Japanese losses, protect the fleet, and rewrite the opening chapter of World War II. But it's a one-time miracle, a glimpse of a future weapon dropped into the past. Or what do you think? And if you want to see what would happen if a modern submarine fought at Midway, check out the video on screen now. Thanks for watching.